Hey guys, today we're going to talk about writing algebraic expressions. We're going to be taking words and putting them into number sentences. So before we start that, let's talk about what an expression actually is. An expression includes numbers such as 8, -13, 1/4, symbols such as the variable letter m here or the sign sigma, and operators such as adding, subtracting, finding the square root, that when grouped together show the value of something. And I put some examples of some expressions down here. We have a plus 5, 0.8x, 3 minus f, 2/3 w plus 4, the square root of g, and -2h. And it is important to note that expressions do not have an equal sign. That is what separates them from equations. Let's look at some terms that will help us in trying to decipher these sentences so we can put them into mathematical terms. And these list of terms here is by no means complete. There are more terms that you may see, but these are the most common. So for addition, we have more than, plus, added to, sum, increased by. For subtraction, we have less, less than, taken away, minus, or decreased by. For multiplication, we have product, times, and multiplied. And division is divided and quotient. Let's look at some examples for this. Alright, so we have the sum of m and 6. We have our terms m and 6, and we have the word sum. And the word sum implies addition. So we can write down the m, write down the 6, and put a plus sign in between those. So that would be adding m and 6 together. The product of 12 and -v. Okay, so we have our terms 12 and -v, and the word product implies multiplication. So we can write down our terms 12 and -v and put a multiplication sign in between those. Or you can write that as -12v, because that is also saying -12 multiplied by v, and that term would be negative. Don't forget that a negative and a positive would multiply together would make a negative. So this is saying the same thing. With 14 divided by x, we have our terms 14 and x. Okay, we can put those down. The word divided implies division. So we can put a division symbol that looks like that, or we can express this as a fraction, which would be 14 over x. With the next couple of examples, we have w minus -7. We have our term w, and we have our term -7, which we can write down. And then minus obviously implies subtraction. So we can put a subtraction sign in between our term w and -7. And don't forget that this double negative here, you should all know by now, creates a positive, so that would be a plus sign. So this would actually be w plus 7. With 9 less than h, okay, the term less than is what we call a special case. We have our terms 9, we have our term h. And then less than means obviously subtraction. But with less than, you have to switch the terms, okay? So the term after the less than would actually go first, and the term before the less than would actually come last. So 9 less than h would actually end up looking like h minus 9. Okay, you have to switch the order. As a further example, we have 9 less than 30. If you think about 9 less than 30, you'll come up with the result of 21. The only way to get 9 less than 30 is to take 30 and subtract 9 from it to get 21. if we wrote that down just as it was written, 9 minus 30, we would get an answer of negative 21, which is not what we're looking for. Okay, so just remember with less than, the term before and after are going to switch when you actually write that mathematically. And then here we have 4 less than the sum of 13 and p. Okay, so we have the terms 4, 13, and p. We have less than, which implies subtraction, and the word sum, which implies addition. And in this case, the word sum of implies that we have to first do that portion. So we have to find what the answer of 13 and p is going to be. And in order to make sure that we do that first, we're going to put that in parentheses. Okay? So we did say that sum is addition, so that would be 13 plus p. And then we have 4 less than. So remember that we're going to switch the order of the terms. So we have 4 and then the sum of 13 and p. So 13 plus p is going to be first, and then 4 is going to be following along that. All right, folks, that is it for this. We will see you in class. Us.